Alrighty, episode 12. Welcome aboard, guys. Yeah, again, some unexpected free time on my hands to fly. So I decided to do again some stalls in slow flight because last time, it wasn't that bad, but I still see room for improvement. Also, just to drill and practice those procedures. So again, I would just like to take off here at Bakersfield, go to some practice area nearby, much more nearby than initially planned in the previous episode. Not that 40 nautical mile north area, but somewhere closer. I guess again around that lake where we were last time to do those flights and then return back to Bakersfield. So very basic flight again, but just repeating the same drills and getting that flow going on. So I hope you enjoy, hope you learn. And I hope I learn too. And not forgetting my flight control checks and all the other stuff that I need to focus on. First, some announcements as always, or just comments, sharing. First off, I noticed during the previous episode, I also mentioned it during the previous episode, that although I was very, very pleased for my dad to be online with us in the cockpit on voice chat, his mic became a little bit unstuck, or there was something going on generating that buzzy sound, which wasn't a good thing. So we're looking into that, and in some future flights when he joins me again, I hope that we've got that fixed. Something else, I've looked at the sectional charts to get a more technical idea or understanding of how the distance measures works, because obviously that was a big mistake the last episode. I thought that trip from Bakersfield, from where we are right now, up to Lemoore, the Lemoore area, the Lemoore MOA here up the north, would just be a brief and small hop. Well, it wasn't. It was a 40 nautical mile trip. A very big cross-country flight in my terms, in my logbook. So we diverted from that plan and decided to fly here, much more nearby Bakersfield. Now, how can you determine the measures, the distance on a sectional chart? Well, you can see these sections here, these ruler lines that you can use to measure distance. And for example, each bigger line that you can see here, bigger digit, hey Stringer, welcome. Every notch here is 1 nautical mile. So this would be 10 nautical miles horizontally. And vertically, it would also be 10 nautical miles. I don't know if you can see it properly, but the distance from this line, bigger line, up to that point would be 10 nautical miles too. Well, although that's what I think, because there's a small, I don't know, it isn't a bug, I guess, but what I don't understand is the following. If I do, for example, this, let me see if you guys can see it behind my next to my webcam feed. If I just make a very small leg here, so a GPS point around here to there, you would expect about 10 nautical miles, right? Plan, bam, 10 nautical miles. Makes sense. Now, have a look at this. Clear. If I do the same thing on the horizontal one, those are 10 digits, or digits, numbers, I don't know how you call these notches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which would also make sense looking from a chart developing point of view. But now have a look at this. GPS, plan, point, plan, 8 nautical miles. Well, I know I'm not really on that line, but it isn't that big of a difference. I don't know why that is the case. Can anyone tell me what is going on here? Or is the horizontal view a bit more skewed or measured in a different kind of measure? I don't know why, but that gets me confused. So anyone who knows about that, please let me know. But anyway, using those rulers, we could have already known that flying from Bakersfield a bit more to the west would also suffice. And we only need a maneuver area of about, well, let's say 10 nautical miles. By 10 nautical miles, that would be just fine to do our steep turns and that kind of stuff. So an area as big as this. And what we did last time is we flew to this lake and did our traffic patterns or our maneuvers there, which was just fine. So that's what we're going to do today. But what I forgot, and I also mentioned in the previous episode, which was so dumb, and I did this, I guess during the episode even before that, was I totally forgot about that military airway. I mentioned it in the flight planning, but carrying out the flight planning and sticking to those considerations while you're flying is another thing, apparently. Because I went flying and doing my steep turns and stuff around this lake and never thought about that military airway ever again, which is a bad thing because in PilotEdge, drone aircraft activity, military activity is simulated here on this airway, so which is not a good thing. I also read, and I've also remember some of you suggesting that during those doing those special maneuvers in these areas would also require, well, not really require, but it's very highly recommended to get flight following, just to have another set of eyes look at the particular airspace that we're flying in, so that if there's any military activity, then sender or approach or whatever can inform us and say, hey Tim, military activity is coming your way, please be advised. But during the previous flight, PilotEdge wasn't online yet. Let me see, is it 5? Yeah, it's already past 5 here in the evening in the Netherlands. So PilotEdge is online right now. So that's something that we could do. I'm not going to because I need to just stick to another practice area. So that was stupid of me, not remembering that military airway that is passing here through in between Taft and Bakersfield. So rather, I would do the following. Because there's much more distance here between Bakersfield and this highway and this lake than I initially thought, we have enough space here to do our practice, I guess, in between the lake and the highway, Highway 5. Is it Highway 5? Yeah, it's Highway 5. Or somewhere around that place, which would be fine too. So that is what we're going to do, and we don't need to cross, or we should be aware or ensure that we're not going to cross this lake up to the west, because then we know we come very close to that military airway. So that's the idea, which makes much more sense, I believe. Also, what I thought was in the next episodes, I guess in my following episode, I will do the traffic pattern flight test by night. If you look at my flight training structure on certifiedpilot.com, you probably already know that's the second bit of my flight training progress. So that's what I'm going to do. But then next up, the next chapter is for me to do short flights from uncontrolled airports to uncontrolled airports. Well, we already did one because we need to get out of Oceano because there's always bad weather there, which prevents us from flying. I need to do a lot more of those to practice my departures, my arrivals, my en route routines, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought what might be a fun thing to do, there are a lot of uncontrolled airports here in the Bakersfield area. We're currently here. So what we could do in one of the next few episodes is just do a kind of a tour around this area, doing arrivals and departures after one another, to get that departure and arrival and, well, that cross-flight swing into my skill set. Which might be cool. So that's something that I thought about. I will follow on my list, continue on my list. Yeah, what I also found very interesting, also mentioned it during the previous episode, is the combining PilotEdge and radio communication, radio navigation, which is obvious, I know, but still I really, on a very practical level, discovered or noticed the usability of doing that. So for example, in the previous episode I got lost here around this area. I thought, where are we? Are we here? Are we there? Are we, you know? And so I tuned into the VOR here, Schefter, just above Meadows, and verified my position referring to this lake and the highway. And then I know there's a technical term of using multiple references, either on radio-based or visual-based, to confirm your current position, which was very profound. Yeah, well, it was profound and very obvious at that time. So it's not like you need to when you do your crosswind flight, cross-country flight, that you either choose to go with PilotEdge other than radio navigation. No. Totally not. You should combine the two. That's a strong and safe way of going from A to B. So yeah. Marine, the spacing on the vertical and horizontal lines don't look exactly equal if you look close. Yeah, I know, but I guessed that that had to do with just the curving of the Earth. For example, there are different world maps around, right? There you can see that all the continents are much more pressed against pressed against the other, or much more smaller, narrow, and there are other world maps that, well, that just change those measures and change those. Yeah, I don't know the English word there, but that's the same kind of thing I expect the sectional charts to show here too. And if you look at the number of digits here, or the number of nudges, or I don't know how you call these arrows, these lines, there are 10 in the horizontal line, but also 10 vertically. So as a sectional chart developer, I would stay or keep consistent and measure each line as a nautical mile. So even though they are shorter, which would explain why SkyVector says this is 8 nautical miles rather than that, you cannot use then these rulers on the horizontal line to infer the distance, because those don't align. 10 nautical miles would be from here to there, while if you use the planar tool here in SkyVector, it comes about 80% of that length. So that is confusing and not really clear to me. Anyway, so sectional chart adjustment, always combine PilotEdge with radio navigation. I forgot about the military array, already talked about that. Yeah, so I'm going to do today the slow flight turns, power on, power off stall procedures. I saw Disgraced Pilot mentioning that during those procedures I was not coordinated. So the slip indicator. Let me switch back to the cockpit. So the slip indicator, like it is right now, was just moving all over the place while I was keeping steady there in my power on and power off stall attitude, which was a good comment. So I need to focus on that more, because I'm not aware of whether I'm coordinated or not. Even more so, even in my general turns, I believe I haven't spent that much time on making sure that I'm making coordinated turns. So I would like to focus on that too this evening. Yeah, cowl flaps open when doing my practice maneuver. So if I'm going to do my power on stall and that kind of stuff, it might be good to open my cowl flaps to allow the engine to cool down even more, like if you would during takeoff or in a traffic pattern. Something to remember. Clearing turns, yeah, so I've looked on YouTube to see how you do a clearing turn before you do your steep turns and, well, those practice maneuvers. And there are different ones. I thought there was only one more common way of doing this, but you can either do a fly, you can either fly across your maneuver or intended maneuver area, then do a 180 turn, so then you know, well, if the entire area is clear, providing that you look totally to a complete turn to the left and complete turn to the right. So if you have a 180 degree view, then you can just fly on one leg and then make a 180 degree turn backwards, and then you have a full 360 degree situational awareness of the maneuver area. But there are also others doing more like a rectangular kind of flight. So 90 degree turns, just to make sure that on each side of your maneuver area you don't see any nearby traffic. So I guess this is just common sense and not really a standard procedure. If you guys know anything about this, please let me know. Stringer, are you going to show us how to do an emergency landing to us as well? Yeah, obviously. Yeah, obviously. Also during takeoff, rejected takeoff stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing those, but not at this moment because I need to get the basics right. But yeah, obviously, we're going to do that. Oh yeah, also wondered, we got some rain in the previous episode. Is rain considered IMC or VMC? I thought. Well, it just depends on visibility as far as I understand it. So if you've got heavy rain and that, and it's also just common sense. It doesn't really matter what the rules are. It's just using your common sense and know if that heavy rain is obstructing your visibility less than 3 nautical miles in VFR minimum terms, then obviously you can say, well, that's IMC. And if it's not IMC, it's bad either way. So yeah, it's not really the most important thing that I guess here is, as a VFR pilot or you have not rainfall is not the same as a cloud. So as a private pilot, we need to make sure that we are clear from clouds, right? Especially in controlled airspace. So that 1,000 feet above, 2,000 feet horizontally, and 500 feet below. But in terms of rain, as a private pilot, you can just fly through rain. But if it is really heavy rain, then it might obstruct your visibility, and that's not a good thing to fly through. Also, all the turbulence and other stuff that might be going on. And in most terms, in heavy rain, you've got very low hanging clouds, which is also more marginal VFR-like. So in either case, you should avoid rain, but it's not illegal to fly through rain as a private pilot. I've also updated my checklist. Finally, got it at the print shop today. And yeah, there it is. I don't know if I can show you guys. Let me move my browser away from the screen, so perhaps I know. You can already see it here. Killed. I've put that stamp there. Finally, it looks really cool, and it's yeah, really obvious that I should focus when we got to that get to those checklist items, because in one of the previous episodes, I don't know by heart which one, I forgot to do my flight control checks, and as beautiful as A2A simulates flight realism in this sky lane, then I didn't notice or didn't discover that my elevator was broken. So I was flying and suddenly, boom, shit hit the fan and I crashed. So I'm not taking that lightly. So I thought, well, let's add it to my checklist, knowing that each and every time when I use my checklist, I know that I've been killed once before. This is my second life in the Flight Simulator, which is pretty cool, I guess. Lastly, yeah, there's also something that my dad also suggested, and I was already aware of, but still, I really love the educational flair that I give to my flight training, right? And that will always be the case. But now as I progress through my flight training, the more routine stuff becomes also routine to you guys, and I don't need to explain all the things I already explained in previous episodes. So I'm gonna restrain myself from explaining those basic steps and just go through with my flows, and if I learn new stuff, I explain that, or if you guys have questions, I give answers. But I like to be more focused on my flying, because if I do a lot of explaining while I'm flying, that degrades or limits my flight skill capability. So I'm going to go much more quicker through my flows. If there's any questions, please post. There are also other guys online, most of the time on my channel here on Twitch, who know a lot more about aviation, even some real-world pilots that you can ask. So please feel free to do so. That completes my notes, as I do each and every episode. What I'm also considering, guys, is buying the Sporty's Learning to Fly course on iPad. I was already aware of that flight course. It's a ground school with a lot of videos and test questions, but they are constantly upgrading that course. It's just online with new videos, high quality videos, content, beautiful animations. So I revisited that app or that content again, and I thought, my gosh, this is so cool. About 20 hours or so of really proper high quality explanation from how the cylinders work, how you should do your radio communications, what you should do in engine emergency, and with questions, test questions, quiz questions with each video segment. So I think that is really cool, and I'm ready to boost up my my flight understanding, my aviation understanding. So I'm thinking about getting that course, Learn to Fly course by Sporty's. Yeah, so let's get going. It's as simple as that. Okay, back in the cockpit. You guys can see me too. Just reposition my browser a bit. Yeah, first things first. Browser, weather. As you can see already here, Meadows, just north of Bakersfield, we see VFR, 070 at 3 knots winds, 10 statute miles of visibility, so it's great, clear skies. Well, here at Bakersfield, well, it is clear, but not in the distance. Okay. Let's go to our weather briefing. Bam. So, general idea of the weather. Rain here in the north, far north. We are about here, so we see high pressure areas. That's a good sign. Low is always Oh, I'm getting into the explanation mode already. I shouldn't. Good weather here. Move on. A more detailed surface analysis, looking specifically at precipitation, so rain. No rain forecast here in our area, which is good. Then this is the most useful chart, I believe. You can see there's something interesting going on here. There's a turbulence warning around our area, but with an arrow saying 120. Those are flight levels, I think. Or it's just feet, 12,000 feet. That's where the turbulence is. So high altitude turbulence. So that's not to our concern. There's also a more blue or greenish line here going through. That means freezing level at the main sea level, which is at 06 Zulu. It is 16 Zulu. So that was in the morning in Zulu time hours. Looking at 18 Zulu, which is in about 2 hours or so, still that turbulence is there, but still high altitude, no marginal VFR and freezing. So we should look or be aware of temperature, because otherwise we get icing. Well, if there's no moist or no vapor in the air, then icing is not really a problem. But again, that's something that we should flag. Graphical air mats. So again, weather experts saying this is actually going on in terms of weather for pilots. Santa Barbara here. Well, we're about here, I guess. Santa Barbara is about here. So north of us, there is IFR actually. That is valid 3-hour air mat 1800. So in about 2 hours. We could change that to 0. That's 15 Zulu, which is much more close, and as you can see, that IFR is much more extended, which is interesting, and should be something that we need to look into more carefully. That yellow one is turbulence. Tops, yeah, so its floor is at 24,000, so that's much more higher than we're going to fly, obviously, in a Cessna Skyline. And IFR here, valid base at 24,000. Look, yeah, so that's cool. I didn't know that I could actually click on these areas. Oh no, am I clicking on the IFR or not? I guess not. I'm just clicking on the turbulence again. Sorry, click. Yeah, so again, IFR below 1,000, visibility below 3. Yeah, and fog. So that's a bad visibility term, bad visibility. So that's something that is, yeah, that's something important that we need to look out for, because Bakersfield is not that far away from that area. Again, I don't have a great feeling for distance. Perhaps we're already in LA or in Las Vegas around here. I won't be surprised if that is the case, and Bakersfield is much more to the coast, but still important stuff to remember. No convective SIGMATs, so that means no thunderstorms or other stuff. A general outlook here of the weather. Southern California, outlook VFR, outlook VFR, outlook VFR. Coastal, we're not really coastal, but scattered, cirrus, clouds, and looks good. So that's a good kind of general indication that the weather is VFR. Then ceiling, what is the time? Valid 1800 Zulu, okay? Again, Bakersfield is around here, so that's I guess the darker green area. So cloud ceiling, base 6,000 feet or 3,000 feet. Well, that's plenty. That's PFR weather. So that's great. And as you can see, that seems to be much more in line with the stuff that we're seeing right now at Bakersfield. Those clouds seem to be on those kind of altitudes. So makes sense. Oh, that didn't sound right. I heard a beep saying, well, I don't know. Let's see if I reset my settings here somewhere. Everything looks good. Yeah, so that's good. Let's move on. Then visibility for 06 Zulu. Well, that's too early. I would like to go to 15. That's current. And here you can see that IFR stuff. It's visibility, right? That we already saw on the air mats just a few slides ago. So visibility might be a problem. Not cloud seeding, but visibility. Let's go to 18. And it's getting less, which makes sense because currently at Bakersfield in local time, it's just early morning right now. So as the Earth warms up, then, well, the fog dissipates. But currently here in the Netherlands, I don't have the time to wait for that long. So we currently have visibility, which actually night visibility. I turned my flight sim today for the sake of flying. I guess it's because of this. Yeah. Yeah. So visibility might be an IMC issue that we need to consider. And what was the kind of visibility then? 6 miles. Well, 6 miles, which is at 3.5. So it might be a little bit marginal VFR or even just VFR. So that's cool. We're not going to do a big cross-country flight. Turbulence again at the let me see, light aircraft, and I want to see it for an altitude of 5,000 feet. Again here, Santa Barbara, there's some turbulence there, very light, or no, it's moderate. And if you look in the colors, but Bakersfield is a little bit more north, so it's light and moderate. Okay, good to know. Clouds are coming in all from the ocean, so that isn't really a concern to us. Infrared is much more interesting because then you can see the thickness of the clouds, again, around our area, and nothing really going on there, which is good. And it explains clear skies. This is clear sky that is moving from the north to the south. Radar looks good, and winds are fine too. Mostly the winds are at the ocean. Cool. Again, let's check the NOTAMs just for routine's sake. Again, the same kind of stuff, out of service of lights and blah, 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 blah. That's cool. And we don't need a VFR flight plan because we're not going to fly a cross-country flight. So we are all set. Again, well, we'll brief the flight in just a moment. That's cool. Back into the cockpit. Okay. Let me check. Pitot tube cover is still on, and I guess the wheel chucks are also still on. So let's remove those first. Click. Oh, I just watched that button. Wrong button there. Well, we don't need to go outside. It's a bit silly. Pitot tube cover, remove. Tie downs, wheel chuck. And that's enough for now. Yeah, let me sit properly here, guys. Sorry for the TrackIR motions, extreme motions here. Yeah, so here we are. First off, check whether the cockpit is cold and dark. So there we go. Control wheel lock is removed. Parking brakes on, live vest. Fire extinguisher window is open. ELT set to auto. Cabin air is open. Flaps up. Levers are set. Fuel tank is cross-feed. That's good. Cow flaps are closed. Is good. Trim is set. This transponder is set to standby already. This is all on. This is good. Static air is off. Lights are all off. Avionics are off except for beacon, which is good. Battery generators off. Starter ignition switch is set to off, which is good too. Okay, so cold and dark. Then we're going to check whether the internal systems work. Batteries on. First off, we check all the lights, landing lights, the whole bunch. Just put a light on here at my Saitek panel because it's dark in my room and I cannot read the switches here. And the pitot heat is on. Yeah, so then we go outside to see whether those lights in the pitot heat are actually physically working. So in front of the plane, let me go and enable TrackIR here. So taxi lights on, landing lights on, position lights on, strobe lights on the other side too, which is good. Let me see this beacon. Yeah, the beacon is on. Then the tail position light is also on. Then the stall warning should be working. And then the pitot heat. And it's working too. And let's go into the cockpit. Let's turn off TrackIR again. And let's turn off all the lights. Landing lights off, taxi lights, strobe light, no nav lights, and the pitot heat because that is already working. Then we can move on up to the right. This is all, and then we can turn on the avionics, beep, illumination, which is all on. 1200 is good. Everything except we're going to reset. Oil pressure, vacuum, and volts, which is good. No low fuel. Check whether the annunciator works. It works. Then we're going to turn down the flaps, look if they go down in sync, because if they don't, we've got an additional aileron here, uncontrolled, which is not good. Yeah, Yeah, we will reset this and we will reset that. And we've got some gallons here, but not that much. It's enough for our practice fly, but I guess we need to visit that fuel pump when we arrive because it's getting close. Also, our left wing is a little bit more heavy because of fuel than the right wing. So perhaps it's a good thing to switch it to the left selector for just a moment during flight to balance that out. Okay, that is good. So we can turn off the avionics and we can turn off the battery again. And now we know that we have correctly checked the internal system too. Now let me get my real checklist here to make sure that I didn't skip an item. So first off, the cold and dark, park and brake, levers, ELT, avionics, speedo, heat, magnetos. Yeah, we checked. And then the internal system. We turn the battery on, we check all the lights, stall warning. Pido heat we checked, flaps, transponder, COM, low fuel, and non-serial battery. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so we can then move on to the exterior walk around. Again, all these buttons get me confused. Baggage door is closed. Tail down, tie down is removed. All bolts are in, they look okay. Bolts are in, they look okay too. Wiggle of the trim tab works too. Flaps, wiggle, good wiggle. Hinges look good too. Aileron moves freely. Looks good. Tie down removed. Fuel vent is clear. Wheel chucks removed. Let's drain the fuel here. No contamination, good color. On top of the wing, well, not a lot of gallons, but enough. Although, perhaps they are not enough, because you should actually always have a 8-gallon reserve. Obviously, we can add the gallons from the left wing with the to the one on the well, the right and left wing. So then we would have enough. But still, it's good to know that you should always have at least 30 minutes or 45 minutes of flight time, additional flight time to your flight. So that's getting close because well, we're just going to do a local practice flight, so that's fine, I think. Okay, then quickly let's have a look at the antennas. ELT antenna, nav antenna, localizer antenna, COM1, COM2, GPS, air temperature, windshield looks good, and we've got some antennas on the belly of the Skylane, which we're going to look at just a moment. Static air is clear. Then here we can see the strut, enough space here. We can, or I should have, before I started, open those cowl flaps. I forgot about that last time too. Looks secure, no stuff in there, which is good. Then we can see the ADF antenna, the transponder antenna, marker beacon antenna, and the storm scope, which are still there. Look good. To the front, leading edge of the propeller looks good. I mean, Flight Simulator doesn't simulate any dents in there, but again, we're just doing those routines. Intakes, clear, filter looks good. Oil, between 9 and 6 quarts. It is getting lower, so that's nice to see, but it's within 9 and 6, so that's quarts, which is good. Good color. Static air is clear. Other wing, yeah, we've got 14 gallons. Let's drain a few. Good color, no contamination. Wheel chocks are removed. Tie down removed. Warning, stall warning already checked. Fuel vent is clear. Then the ailerons, those are free. And the hinges look good. Finally, the flaps wiggle. They wiggle. And we've got the hinges checked too. Exterior pre-flight is completed. We don't need to visit the maintenance hangar. Let's make sure that we did our flow correctly. It's the antennas. We already did rudder, rocker, Barker beacon, nose fuel, cowl flap, quality. Yeah, we did everything. No reason to visit the maintenance hangar. The only thing that I forgot, and also forgot last episode, is opening the cowl flaps, which is not a biggie, but still. Before engine start, so briefing again in a much more shorter version. We are currently at Bakersfield. What we're going to do is depart from runway 34 up north. Winds are calm, so well we can decide on what runway we depart, and there's no other traffic, I guess. If there's other traffic, we need to take that into consideration, but we're going to depart up north. Make sure we don't hit that delta airspace here of Meadows, so we're going to do a left hand crosswind departure and move up to this area. Our visual reference will be the lake and the highway here that we're going to cross at a 90-degree angle. We don't need to cross, or we should not cross this lake, because then we come encounter that military airway, which we should avoid. So this is going to be the area where we're going to do our stalls and stuff, and that's about it. Then we're going to turn back and arrive here at Bakersfield, the left hand 45 downwind arrival, so 45 degree on the left downwind leg, and then we land again. That's it. What's going to be our altitude? Well, at least 2,500 feet AGL, because we're going to do those special maneuvers, so we need some space there in case we got an engine out or something else. We're going to lose altitude because of our maneuvers, so that's about right. That doesn't conflict with weather sealing or with cloud sealing, I guess, especially now with clear sky, which is perfect. And we've got enough fuel. If not, we can glide to either of these airports here, which is good. Hey Mikey, welcome on board. So that's about it. Frequencies 1 to 2.8. Theft is also 1 to 2.8. We don't need any other. We could monitor Meadows or Bakersfield Airport. It is called Meadows Airport, yeah. Just to monitor what other traffic is coming in or departing from Meadows, which makes sense. We didn't do that in the previous episode. We shouldn't have to. We're not obliged to do so or talk to ATC at all, as long as we stay out of this airspace. But as this crash pilot mentioned also a couple of episodes before, it's not only about maintaining clear of these airspaces, but obviously aircraft are also flying into inbound and outbound of this Meadows airfield, and well, there are all kinds of departure and arrival routes, so that's also something that we should consider. So in either case, in the real world, I guess it's a good thing to just check in with Meadows and let them know that we are doing our practice there, although we are not obliged to do so. So I'm not going to do that and just going to practice here. As soon as we're going to do our short flights, I will do my flight following, I guess, because it's something new. I don't know how to do it, and it's a very safe thing to do. It's just a service that ATC provides, also PilotEdge provides, to allow or get help from air traffic controllers to just monitor our flights, get some situational awareness going, and they can let us know if there's other traffic in the area that we need to look out for. And they can say, well, just fly this heading or go to that altitude for just a brief moment of time because there is some departing or arriving traffic, which is great. Hey, Boeing man. Yeah, cool. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, I'm streaming randomly, I guess, for you guys. Every time I have some free time on my hands, I just start to stream. So, although each Wednesday at 1830 Zulu, I will always stream each Wednesday. Where are you flying? Were you flying just started? Yeah, I just started with flying. I'm just doing my briefing, and now we are going to fly. That was the briefing. So we're going to taxi to the left here, back to. I already mentioned that I didn't save my flight, I guess, because we parked at another parking spot last time. So I forgot to save my flight. Luckily, A2A Simulations airplane is saved outside of Flight Simulator, so all the same mechanical wear and tear is still remembered. But I remember that we parked at another spot, so that's perhaps you guys already noticed. But well, it doesn't really matter. We're going to fly here and we're going to park and then save our flight. How did you get that letter on the panel? Using Photoshop. Yeah, I also have added some other stuff here. My flight, this is when I was younger, doing my first flight in a Piper Warrior, so I put that on to personalize my cockpit. I also changed the operating manual to Flight Simulator 5 manual, because that was the first version of Flight Simulator that got me hooked to aviation. So yeah, also put some other stuff here to make it more like it was already a used airplane. Here's some scratches here and stuff there, which is very easy to do just using Photoshop and just Googling online. Okie doke, so that's the briefing. What we're going to do is I'm going to put on my seatbelts. I noticed that you should turn on or fasten your seatbelts before you lock the door in a Cessna. I don't know if that's the case for the Skyline too, but otherwise you cannot get it fastened either way. So door is closed, that's cool. We did our briefing, that's what I'm going to do in taxi, that's all set I believe. Now I can release my parking brakes, make sure that my brakes are working, they are firm, which they are, and they work. Parking brake set. Thank you for following, guys. And make sure that our lights are on, just the beacon light is on, which is good. It isn't really on right now because our batteries are off, but it will be on as soon as we turn on the batteries. And cowl flaps are open, and we should put our fuel selector to both. I think that is it. Let me check. Before engine start, we did our briefing, cabin doors closed, brake, parking brake, beacon lights, cowl flaps. Yeah, that's good. What I really like about this, and I'm really getting the benefits of this right now, is I made my own student checklist. I've already mentioned that a couple of times, I know, but the thing I would like to mention here right now is because I've constructed my own checklist, it becomes obvious why there's a certain order in items, and why these items are mentioned related to the particular to this particular task of starting up your engine, or for example. You get a much better understanding of what you're actually doing, why you are doing this stuff, rather than just mechanically, automatically just following on these items and just see the airplane get alive and fly away. There's a great tip for you. If you would like to understand your airplane, make your own checklist. It's a great assignment to get a better understanding of what you're actually doing and why during your procedures. Glugman on your private pilot's license, by the way, just keep dreaming, you got the skills, man. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping that, well, I'm serious about Flight Simulator to really get those skills going on. And eventually, what I'm really dreaming of is then getting my iPhone with me, streaming on Periscope or wherever, and visit an airfield, talk to an instructor and say, can I just do a practice flight, just a familiarization flight? And then hoping to impress that flight instructor. Like he said, what, is this your first flight in real life? And then tell him about Flight Simulator and really see if Flight Simulator really contributes to developing real world flight skills. And I expect that will be the case. But that will be a future time because now I'm really still at the basics and there's a lot of stuff that we need to cover. Okay, so that's close. So let's start with our engine startup here. Batteries are on. There we are, which is a good thing. Then we can set our throttle 1/4 inch open, hand on the mixture, and we can prime our fuel. 1, 2, 3, and close. And now we can start up our engine. Let's see if the propeller area is clear. No people flow by ORBX here, which isn't the case. Clear prop. And there she goes. 1200 RPM. There goes the oil pressure within 30 seconds until the green. There it is. Then we can turn off the generator. We see a bump here at the ammeter. Look. But there it is. It's charging, which is a good thing. Then we can turn on the avionics while we are leaning the mixture for ground operations, max RPM. There she is. And then we set to 1000 feet and retract our flaps. Good flow here. Again, flaps are coming up, which is good. We can set our transponder to on because we're now going to start flying. And we can listen to ATIS here. Let's have a listen.
Bakersfield Airport information, Victor 16520, wind 056 at 3, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky conditions clear, temperature 82.5, altimeter 302, warp, ILS, runway 30, right and visual, runway 30, left in use, landing and departing, runway 30, right and runway 30, left, VFR aircraft, say direction of flight, all aircraft feedback, short instructions, advise controller on initial contact, you have Victor.
Alright, well, it's uncontrolled heliport, so we don't need those ATIS information code stuff. Also, what's also always good to do is once you set your altimeter at an airfield, the airport elevation showing on your altimeter, indicated airport elevation should confirm or correspond to the airport elevation showing on the chart, which is 378 at Bakersfield, as you can see here, which corresponds. Yeah, so that's good. So we've got our ADIS. Other frequencies that we need to use, I'm looking at the section right now, 122.8, CTEF is already in. We don't need any other frequency. I guess what we can do is listen to tower control of Meadows while we are flying, and at PilotEdge these frequencies, tower frequencies, are shared among other airports because there are only about 2 or 3 controllers active on PilotEdge, so they need to share those controllers various airspaces, unlike in the real world, although there are circumstances when air traffic controllers in the real world also need to share multiple airports at the same time. But anyway, if we check into Meadows, or not check into Meadows, but just monitor Meadows control tower frequency, we would also hear pilots and stuff going on elsewhere in Southern California within the PilotEdge area. Really agree with what Flight Sim does. Starting off flying in the real world, I impress a lot of people simply next to the film. Really love your head, by the way. Thank you, Boeing hat. Yeah, I really would like to get an AOPA hat. So, yeah, I love AOPA. I love the flight training magazine by AOPA. So I also love Boeing, but it makes more sense to wear an AOPA hat. So that's something on my list. Yeah, so frequency 122.8, that's set, and what we can do, we can set the standby frequency to Meadows, and we can listen to tower. That might be fun while we're flying. I don't know if that's safe because we should actually be tuned into to Bakersfield because it's much more close to our practice area. But let's do that just for fun. Okay. Navigation, we don't. Well, we could already set shaft here, a shafter. Let me see. We can already set shafter because in case we get lost, we have a bearing of which way to go to almost. So that's 115.4. 115.4 is already set, and we don't need anything else. So that's good. Altimeter was set. Let's check our heading indicator if it corresponds to the compass. Ahaha. No, it doesn't. So let's change that. What's the real heading we're heading right now? It's 163. 163. That's a big jump. 163. About this? Yeah. Gyro drift is called precession, I guess. That kind of dynamic, which is very important to check. So in about, well, each 15 minutes or so, this should be part. This cross check should be part of your routines. So that is checked. This is okay. I guess it's stuck there or something like that. Which is fine. Cylinder head temperature is getting into the green. Oil temperature is not, so low RPM. We can set our clock or our temperature here, which is important because as we already seen in the weather briefing, there is icing going on. So it's cold, and cold with vapor in the air turns to icing. So now below 10 degrees Celsius, we should turn on our pitot heat. Also, if we have vapor, not on the ground, only when you fly, because otherwise the pitot heat the tube get much too warm. So this is a good one to watch. And well, let's turn on Zulu time here. That's okay. And that completes the engine startup and the before taxi checklist, I think. Let me check. Engine start, fuel pump, mixture propeller area. We already did ammeter, oil pressure annunciators. Well, that's something that we forgot to do. Once we see our engine started, we should look at the annunciator panel to see if we've got any readings here of low oil pressure. But we looked at the gauges, so that was actually already confirmed. But still, that's something that I didn't do consciously. Anyway, that was all checked. Then avionics, comm radios, we checked. Altimeter, clock, we set. Heading, bug, taxi lights, we don't need. Oil temperature, level lock. Great. Really enjoying the fact that this becomes a flow, guys. Norbert, welcome. Are you using academic? No, professional. There's no watermark on the right top here. So as I'm streaming, looking at the license descriptions here, I needed the professional version. And also, I love version 3. It's worth all the money. There's a story at my flight school where who flew 100 in the wrong direction from gyro drift for about 50 miles. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I mean, it's such a subtle kind of mistake there. So, and I love the fact that it's simulated in flight sim, which is very cool. Okay, we are ready to go. So let's release our parking brake and turn on TrackIR. We need to go to the left, I guess. Yeah, to the left. So there we go. We're going to drive a bit, park, brake test, which works. Then look at the slip indicator and turn indicator. They turn, heading indicator turns. And we don't need any crosswind correction because there is winds calm conditions, and we don't need soft field correction because we're on the pavement. Taxi checks completed. We set our RPM to about 950. That seems to me like an RPM setting that gives us a continuous, steady taxi speed, which I think is helpful. A lot of the time also on Twitch and on YouTube I see people just racing their airplanes on those taxiways, which isn't a good thing. These are not cars, they are built to fly, obviously. So there is the runway. 34 is on the other side, so we need to taxi all the way down here behind these hangars and then get going. We're on CTEF already, so we should be very attentive to other radio announcements, so we get some situational awareness going on, knowing what other traffic is in the pattern. But currently no one is here, which doesn't surprise me at all. In the future I would like to go to John Wayne Airport. That's seems like the main port, I guess, where most pilots are flying. Also very much looking forward ORBX releasing a dedicated airport scenery for John Wayne, because that I would like to be my John Wayne will be my home airport. Charlie airspace, the most busy one. Imagine doing these traffic patterns and stuff with other pilots nearby, which is going to be awesome. Also the LA area is very, very dense, congested airspace, which I'm really looking forward flying into. Again guys, I haven't found the answer. Does any one of you guys know on which taxiway I should taxi to that 3-4? I mean on that one? The left one taxiway here, or on the one that I'm right now? I think on this one, because here the taxiways are turned backwards. But I don't know if that's a good way of reasoning. So let me know, anyone. Thank you, Boeing, for complimenting me on my flight skills. Well, there's still a lot of room for improvement. There's the fuel pump. Should remember to visit that, because our fuel is on the low side. I put my fuel selector back, by the way, on the both setting, while we should actually put it on the, or decided to put it on the left one. Oh, focus. Because we need to balance that weight. Otherwise we get that steady left turn. Also because as a pilot I'm on the left side of the airplane, so we've got a left turning tendency. No traffic still on CTEF. Let's briefly switch to Meadows. Let's see if we can hear some chatter.
Roger. I have the request for the I3. Go ahead and make your request again when able.
Number 1 Delta, requesting IFR clearance to Burbank.
What is the volume, guys? Can you hear the chatter, or is it too...
2 Delta, Roger.
Is the sound setting too low?
Airport via flight heading 175. Expect radar vectors to Seal Beach VOR, and then as filed.
It's an IFR flight.
Expect 6,000.
That's season 2 of my episodes, going IFR.
128.1, squawk 3, 2,
Imagine doing these flights in low visibility settings. That's going to be adventurous too, guys.
King November 1 Delta, cleared to Burbank, vector seal. To
sounds fine like me. Okay, cool.
As filed. Maintain direct of 5,000. Expect 6,000 after 5 minutes of departure. Departure frequency is 128.1. Squawk
no traffic.
3215.
Number 102 Delta, standby. America 178, contact Los Angeles.
Also, guys, if you are interested in PilotEdge or ATC stuff, these PilotEdge air traffic controllers also stream on Twitch. They stream their radar screens. which is very cool. I don't know if you guys can see who I'm following on Twitch, looking at my uncertified pilot channel.
3 kilo, I'm sorry, negative radar contact, stay in position.
Let's switch back to CTF. They start with PA, so Papa Echo, then underscore, and then something else. And those guys stream regularly, and you can ask them all kinds of questions about airspace. They're very kind, very educational stuff. Most of the time they're just about 7 viewers who are interested in looking what those guys are doing, but including the bigger streamers like Catstrader and usual viewers. So it's a nice bunch of viewers there. Okay, let's turn. Like so, blast away of the taxiway. Parking brakes are set, reset to 1000. Let's look at our engine temperatures. Cylinder temperature in the green, oil temperature is also in the green, so we are safe to do our run up. Parking brakes are set. Let's just close our windows too. My dad noticed that these windows close item is on the takeoff roll, before takeoff roll. I'm doing these right now because I guess in a run up dust and other stuff might come into the cabin, so it makes sense to already close it right now. Mixture full, prop full. Again, engine is in the green, so let's go to 1800 RPM. Thank you for following. There we are. No annunciator messages. Engine is still in the green. Oil pressure is good. Nothing weird going on here. So let's do our magneto check. To the left. Looks good. Back to both. Good. Right is looking good too. Turn on our landing lights to see if the we get a discharge on the battery on the ammeter here. Bloop. Yeah, it's working. So landing lights off. Then prop cycle. First one RPM. Very obvious. Governor is working. Then manifold pressure. Slow rise. There it is. It's looking good. And finally the oil pressure. Dip and reset. Yep, governor is working too. Then we go to idle. Thank you for following, guys. That's very encouraging. Okay, the engine doesn't quit on us. Again, oil pressure is still there. We don't see any annunciator messages. We are looking good. So back to 1000, and we just completed our run up. We can set our mixture there because we are about to take off here in 3.4 at 3.4. We should set our transponder to alt. We're not going to set our flaps. Trim is about right. Let's keep our flight. Let's keep our tank to the left side. I don't know if that's allowed during takeoff or only during cruise and taxi. I'm just going to. Does your dad also sim? Yeah, and he's also on the stream. He was on the stream in the previous episode, so go watch, and we will get him much more often. Also, I'm really looking forward to fly with him unprepared. He's currently flying FSX, but I would like to get him on a shared stock plane here and fly as second in command and teach him how to fly in on PilotEdge, which is going to be awesome. We're just going to do some sightseeing, but again, real world stuff. But that's future talk. So 1000. Landing lights on, strobe lights on, cowl flaps are open, and we are set, I believe. Let's check. So we did a lot of stuff here. So run up, taxi lights, we don't need. Oh yeah, control. I forgot the control check, which got me killed last time. Why don't I remember that? This is why that killed stamp works. I should check my controls. Come on. So, turn to the right, that elevator should go down. And it goes down. Other side, it goes down. Elevator works. Rudder works. Park and brakes was just released, I heard. Thank you, Flight Sim, for making my park and brake release once I press my brakes. Doesn't make sense to me. Okay, yeah, that was your control flight check, and then we were not done. Radio we did, oil temperature we checked, brakes, magneto check we did, cycled we did, gauges we checked, seat belts, cowl flaps, rudder flaps, propeller, transponder we did, traffic, yeah, briefing. That's the only thing that we need to do. So left hand crosswind to the west, departure. and we fly up to 2,500 feet and go to that lake again very quickly. Spars, Venom Snooze, good evening. Yeah, thank you. Those are GDI guys, GTA guys, GTA 5 guys. I've for the guys who don't know, who are watching right now, last year when I got the aviation buzz, before I went flying on prepared, I set up or created a flight crew on GTA. I don't know if you're aware of GTA or if you're familiar with the GTA 5 game. It's a really it's a great game, and you can online create these crews where other online players can join, and then you can do well, all kinds of shooting stuff and criminal stuff. And I decided to create a crew for others to fly. You can also fly in the GTA 5 world. It's a limited world, but it looks really great. So I thought let's attract GTA players who are also interested in flying. So I actually created my own PilotEdge kind of world. GTAFlightcrew.com I made with videos even, where you can see me flying in GTA 5, creating my own abbreviated, simplified ATC, which was very much fun to do. But very soon it became already limited, and I thought, well, I really like to learn flying for real. And so I went to I moved to Flight Sim, which was a good move. But I'm happy to see some GTA 5 flight crew guys joining in here on the Uncertified Pilots. Thank you, Sparser. FS Production Live, what's up? What's up? Well, what's up is we're going to depart. So here, left-hand departure going to the west. This is our traffic area. We need to stay clear of the military airway because dangerous stuff is going on there. So the highway, the lake, are the reference points. So we're going to fly crosswind until we cross that Highway 5, and that is where we're going to do our power on, power off stalls. Not steep turns, that went great, but power on, power off stalls, and slow flight. Switch back to the cockpit, guys. Here we go. Check. Parking brakes released. Bakersfield traffic, Skylane Papa Hotel Tango, Indy Mike is departing runway 34 for a left crosswind departure to about 2,500 feet up to the west, Bakersfield. We didn't do our 360 turn to make sure that the pattern was clear. Isn't really mandatory, but I would like to get it into my routine because you're not obliged as a pilot to do radio announcements here on an uncontrolled airport, even on PilotEdge. Also, there's a lot of drone traffic that just flies on these uncontrolled airports who are obviously not listening or doing announcements on the radio. Engine in the green. Throttle in. Keep it on centerline. Airspeed's alive. Keep in that right rudder. Still engine is in the green. 60. And let's push on and keep that right rudder in. Gorgeous. Not really nice takeoff roll. I think I can improve on that. It was all over the place. A little bit too fast, so I'm pitching up to allow that airspeed to creep back on VY, 80 knots. Traffic pattern altitude was 1,000 plus, so that's about 1,400 and 300 before. So that's 1,100 we need to make our crosswind turn, which is about here. So let's have a look. No one around. Gentle 15-degree bank. Speed is creeping in. It's good. There goes the heading bug. We're about 1,400, so let's push in on the yoke. And we can increase our turn, allow that airspeed to increase. Standard rate turn. Good stuff, Tim. Back on the back. And there we are. Now, obviously we're now going to depart the crosswind leg. No other traffic here. You can see the visibility, guys, as we saw in the briefing, which is not a good thing. It's still VFR, but... So, set that manifold pressure to about 18. It's there. Then we set the RPM to about a comfortable 2100, which is about there. Sounds much better. Then we're going to trim a bit. Nose down because I'm pushing on that yoke about here to get that steady 500 feet. No, that's too much. can slowly, oh, a little bit nose up. No, I shouldn't use the trim to fly. Use my yoke first and then relieve the pressure on the yoke with trim. It's a careful, yeah, that's much better. That's much better. We're now leaving the traffic pattern, so let's announce. Bakersfield traffic, Skyline Papa Hotel Tango Mike is leaving the traffic pattern area on the crosswind leg up to the west. We're climbing to about 2,500 feet, Bakersfield. Again, keep that climb going on. Still, fuel is good, that balancing stuff, so we don't need to go to both. We're climbing more than 500 feet, but it's gonna, I guess it's gonna bounce a bit to get to a steady configuration. We can now turn off our landing lights. 10 degrees it is, it's getting warmer. Do you realize that it says FSX in the Twitch stream? Yeah, I could have started a P3D, a prepared game in Twitch, but unfortunately, well, not really unfortunately, but most other flight sim enthusiasts are on the FSX, in the FSX category, or in the X-Plane one, but mostly the FSX, so that's why I put myself in the FSX category to find you guys, or you guys to find me. There's 2,500. I'm gonna keep climbing because for those special maneuvers I think we can use some altitude here. Cloud separation looks good. I'm not that happy with the visibility. I mean, we already, Bakersfield is out of sight and we're flying VFR. Bakersfield doesn't have any VOR or ADF or any VOR radio navigation beacon, so we should find Bakersfield again only on visual reference, so that's, yeah, it's going to be challenging perhaps. So we need to use visual reference points, which is, by the way, for example, a good one that worked for me last time. Bakersfield is on the south end of the Bakersfield town, or center, which is a good one to find Bakersfield and also to distinguish Meadows from Bakersfield. Imagine messing those two up. No traffic. I'm really looking for traffic here, and also what's the first reference point? That highway. So we're now leaving Bakersfield City. Where is that highway? Well, it's coming up in just a sec, I believe. Engine is looking good. EGT. We didn't lean. I forgot to lean. So let's get that EGT up as much as we can. Here is the EGT. There it goes, very slowly, as you can see. Can you see what's happening? We're flying above the hazy cloud. Well, it's not. I don't know if you can call this a cloud. I think it's visibility, but. And it's okay for us as private pilots to fly above clouds, at least 1,000 feet. For student and recreational and sport pilots, you should always ensure that you still have visual reference with the ground, which we still have a bit. But obviously, if we cannot see the ground anymore, our whole VFR plan fails because we're not able to spot that highway and not the lake, and then everything becomes yeah, difficult. Leveling off, or about leveling off. Let's stick to 4,500. We're flying to the west, so even VFR altitudes are good. What's the air? The manifold should be more high up. Let's use the yoke here. Again, I don't see the highway yet. That's really what's flying. I already see the highway. That's what flying really is all about, is doing multiple things at the same time. I also think that it really looks a lot like cooking. For most, doing your preparations makes cooking a lot more easier. Doing your preparation makes flying a lot more easier. Sending your comm radios, weather briefing, your flight planning, your departure and arrival routing. If you prepare that stuff, things become, you make it yourself so much easier. Let me see. Here's the highway. I don't know if you guys can see it very faintly here, but it's going here. And as you can see, that's why visibility is so important, because PilotEdge fails if you cannot see the ground. Can we see the lake already? I can see a river. And there's the lake. Also very faintly. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me check if I can. Yeah, you guys can see it. It's over there. So let's fly a bit to the left, and we shouldn't exceed that lake, because then we get into the way of that military. Oh, we're descending obviously because we're turning. So put on the yoke. Okay, so we can start our practice, staying in between the highway here and the lake. So what I would like to do first is a slow flight. So I want to hear a constant stall warning while staying at 4,500 feet, full flaps, and even making turns. Disgrace already mentioned that that was actually part of the FAA recommended procedures as part of a check ride. So let's do that. Cowl flaps we remain, well, let's close them because we're gonna do slow. No, with full flaps you're gonna need some throttle, so I just keep them open. We'll just watch the cylinder head temperature to see if it's not getting too low. Or we should close it either way. I'm just gonna close it. It's already on the low side. No, keep that nose down. Okay. I shouldn't just put in that prop. I should have... You can over exceed the RPM if you just put in the RPM without reducing the throttle first. So that's something that's a flow that you need to keep make sure of. Here's the lake already. So let's make a 180 turn. And then start with our slow flight. So we can already slow down a bit, get our flaps in. As production, just haze, but no higher than flight level. On my ride I had steep turns, slow flight, and an emergency descent to engine failure. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to do that stuff. Emergency descending. We're already talking about it with some other guys on channel here. Trimming a bit. We're already in the flap 1 notch. So there we go. Flap 1. Not going too slow. Oh, and we're not need to climb. Just stay on 4,500, Tim. There are the mountains in the background. Looks gorgeous. Trim again, trim, 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 down, nose down, nose down, nose down. Yeah, something like this. 80 is about right. Let's make that turn to the left. Should make clearing turns. But I'm just going to make a shallow turn here. Keep it on altitude. A bit more nose up. I love Saitek's trim wheel, by the way, guys. If you're unfamiliar with my channel, have a look at my first episode on YouTube. I upload all my episodes to YouTube. You can see my see some pictures and captures of my real cockpit that I'm flying with here right now. I built my own Cessna cockpit, or not really a cockpit, but a functional cockpit. And I'm using Saitek's equipment, including the trim wheel, which adds so much realism to my flying. I really love it. Okay. Yeah, making that turn. Here's the lake. I guess I make that turn too much because the highway is over there. Doesn't really matter. We can fly up that direction. It's okay. 4,500. Let's do a slow flight. So again, allow that airspeed to bleed off. Second notch of flaps. The whole idea is to keep on that 4,500 feet. So guys, pray with me because this is going to get difficult. Engine, yeah, good. Airspeed is bleeding off. Need to pitch there. Compensate with pitch. Oh, full flaps gives us obviously a climb. Come on. Come on, seep back. Hello? Why are we so nose down? I guess we're in a thermal kind of activity. I had that a couple of episodes before and it seems very unrealistic. I mean, look at our angle. Look at this, guys. This is... Well, I guess this can happen. And now it's dissipated again. Okay. Allow that airspeed to bleed off. Hello? Yeah, that's Mother Nature for you. I cannot get it to stall. I'm full idle. Full flaps. And I stay on level. And I still... This is weird. There we go. No, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. The thermal is away. So increasing power a bit because we're not here to stall, we're here to go into slow flight. Okay, there she goes. Okay, keep it on altitude. There goes the airspeed, controlled. Need to increase my pull. There she already goes. Keep in with more throttle, more throttle. Not using aileron, but rudder to keep on track, because the rudder is much more... Oh, that's much too much throttle there. The ailerons are not that active, or not that effective in slow flight, which is also true for touchdown. So you should use, or I should use, rudder adjustments rather. There she is. We don't need to climb. Are we getting a thermal? I think I'm gonna disable those thermals. They mess up my practice. We're still climbing. Idle. Look at our angle. And we're not descending at all. Yeah, so let's make a shallow turn back. Let's make it turn to the right so that we ensure that we stay east of that lake. So I'm only using rudder here, because if you use your aileron you might go into a spin, and with rudder adjustments you won't, because the rudder is much more effective in slow flight. And I also should look outside if there's no other traffic here. There we are out of the thermal again. So pushing up, putting in some throttle because now airspeed is going to bleed off. Where's that lake? Oh, not descent, not descent. There we are again. Again using rudder. I guess because we did 180, we're gonna fly in a thermal once more. Okay, there she goes. There she goes. A little bit more power. No, rudder, no aileron. No, that's too much power. A little bit less. I mean, in a check ride you should do this seamlessly, I guess. This is too much. Whoa, we've got winds. Ah, there's that thermal again. Okay, I guess the weather isn't fit for me to do my slow flight, at least in this spot. Or I could just very quickly, disable it. Thank you for following. Weather. Disable turbulence and thermal effects on aircraft. Yeah, sorry guys, but this is not working for me. Hide menu bar. Pause. Whoa, there she goes. Or is Active Sky Next doing this? Because perhaps yeah, I guess that Active Sky Next is now taking over control. Need to keep all my... the visibility is improved. There's the lake. No, it doesn't solve the thing. I guess that Active Sky Next is still running the show. What other stuff did we have? Well, the power on and the power off stall. Let's do that then. So we've got full flaps. We're above the lake. Okay, so what's the engine doing? It's getting cold. And the engine and the cowl flaps are closed. It's on the cold side, the cylinder. Well, let's do a stall. Oh, we can do a slow flight. We can just do slow flights. We've lost the thermal. Keep on that. No, 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 no. Keep on altitude. Keep on altitude. Less throttle. Please, no thermals. God. Flight Simulator God. Zeus. Guru. Okay. There she goes. Yeah, keep it there. Keep on altitude. Keep on altitude. No, more power. No, no spinning. No spinning. Using rudder here. Also, I'm not coordinated at all, by the way. Again, doing the same, and I'm losing altitude. So a bit more power. Guys, you should do this at home. Look at my slip indicator go all the way around. We're getting bounced. I don't know how in a check ride that would feel, but I guess not really that good. So now if we just go full idle, and there is the rudder, and that's the recovery. I mean, really the power on and power off stalls are not only about getting into a controlled power on and power off stall, but mostly about the recovery, right? During landing and during whatever kind of real world procedure, you should be able to recover in a safe manner. So that's what those procedures are really all about. What are we faced to? East. Yeah, so Bakersfield is over there, and this is that lake. I mean, it's so easy just to get so involved in your flight skills that you forget about... What's the time, by the way? I need to go squashing in an hour or so. So I need to go back. Did we forget? Yeah, we did a power on stall we didn't do. So as we turn back, I guess we need to go to the not north, but a little bit more to that side. Yeah, there's the highway. And also the power on stall will allow our cylinder head temperature to increase. There it already goes, by the way. Okay, so I don't know what power setting you should need for a power on stall. Not full throttle, I guess. Okay, pitching up. Pitching up. We're still full flaps. Using not aileron, Tim, but rudder. And pitching up to get that stall, because we're not here just to climb, we're here to get into that stall. So nose up. And also I should look at that slip indicator. It's bouncing all the way around. This will take some practice. Come on, focus. Right rudder, a bit more right rudder. There we are, coordinated. Keep that nose there. Oh, this is difficult, guys. Come on, pitch up. Okay, well, this is about right. Need to spend some more time on this exercise, but it's so cool. Okay, so clean up. Pitching down a bit. Removing full flaps. Incrementally doing so. There's the lake. Second notch of flaps removed. Allow that airspeed to go. To increase. And there we go. Flaps up. A lot of trim down here. Well, not that much. Okay, there's the... Let's have a look here. There's the airway, or the highway. You can see it here. Moving up, the I-5. Now let's get an arrival going on here to Bakersfield. So first up is passing that highway, which we are about to do. And then the next visual reference point would be the city of Bakersfield. and Bakersfield Airport should be on the south. Thank you for following, guys. I don't have the time to renounce to thank you personally. Benja, thank you for following. We need to stay focused on flying. Okay, let's reset our TrackIR here. Again, let's lean because we don't need file plugs. AGT is low. I also like to set my RPM a bit lower because it sounds much more comfortable for the engine. Allow descent to, well, let's say 2500. Then also visibility might improve. Northeasterly heading, which is good. Are we still in sync? Should have checked that earlier. 41, 42. Yeah, it's in sync. Cross-checked. Cowl flaps are closed. Engine is in good shape. Fuel tanks. That's a good one. Well, we're about balanced right now, which is good. Again, should have checked that before we did our special maneuvers. Should be in. That's the gump check, which we didn't do. Ah, we're below the haze. Yeah, it's haze. Yeah, that's a better phrase or better technical term. Still, we're descending quite rapidly. I'm going to turn on my landing lights. Pitch up a bit more. Bakersfield City here on the left. Tim, you're doing fine. Slow flight is a lot harder in the sim than it's in real life. In real life, you can feel the stall coming, and that helps to determine how much power to add. Okay, right. Makes sense. Still, I think there's room for improvement here. Okay, not increasing power, but just pulling on that yoke. Okay, so next up is doing our announcement at CTF Bakersfield and saying that we are on the arrival, so other guys know what we are doing and that we are coming nearby. So let's do that. I guess we're about 10 miles, 8 miles, let's say 8 southwest. Yeah. Bakersfield traffic, Skylane, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike is about 8 miles southwest of the airport at 2,500 inbound for the 45 left downwind runway 34, full stop Bakersfield. In one of my early episodes, one viewer bought me a great book, a radio communications for VFR pilots. I don't know by heart what the title was. I've almost completely read the book, and it's a great one. A lot of tips of how to do your radio announcements properly, and as we are flying on PilotEdge, that's really useful information. I also like some mindset tips there that the guy mentioned in his book about, well, still looking at Bakersfield, looking if we can find any signs of it. That ATC is not law enforcement, but there he used something else. I don't know what the description was, but something like a support service, or they are here to help you. They are not law enforcement, but they are here to help. And that really can change your mindset of how you can use, for example, you should feel free to use flight following or other stuff to divert from your flight plan because of bad weather. You shouldn't feel afraid to ask ATC because they're there to help. They are there for you. Which I like, those kinds of remarks. As soon as I completely read the book, I will do a short review of the stuff that I found useful. Also to credit the author. Okay, south of Bakersfield, still looking good. Not that good on the altitude, but still. Engine is looking good. Landing lights we already put on. Where is Bakersfield? I guess it's more on the left. Yeah, I can already see it. Making a turn. Let's make another announcement. It's over here. Let's go to 2000 or traffic pattern altitudes. Bakersfield traffic, Skylane Papa Hotel Tango, India. Mike is about 5 miles south of the airport at 2000. We are inbound for the 45 left downwind runway 34, full stop Bakersfield. So we need to go up north a bit, because otherwise we cannot make that 45-degree angle entry. Still, we have mixture and prop. There's Bakersfield. So when arriving at an uncontrolled airport, you should do two announcements. The first one, 10 nautical miles before you enter or get nearby, and then the second one is about 5 miles before, just about when just before you enter the traffic pattern, so that any other new guys also learn that you're there. We should have listened to ATIS. That's also part of that. Get current altimeter setting.
Wind calm, visibility 8, sky condition clear, temperature 112.7, altimeter 3025, ILS runway 30 right and visual, runway 30 left in use, landing and departing, runway
3025. Okay, that's set, because we need to fly on correct traffic pattern altitudes. Let's make our turn here. Go to traffic pattern altitude 1400, 1400. There we go. Mixture full in. Throttle back. Prop in. There's 1400. Pull on the yoke. First notch of flaps. It's looking good. Flaps are in. Not going too slow. 90 knots is okay. Again, I checked there. No other traffic here. Let's make our downwind turn. Bakersfield traffic, Skyline, Papa Hotel Tango, and Mike is entering the left downwind runway 34. Full stop, Bakersfield. There is downwind. A little bit more speed. 80 knots should be on base, so we're a little bit too slow. Steven, just checked his videos on YouTube. It's Radio Mastery for VFR pilots. Right, that's the book. It's good. It's good stuff. But I will do a review once I completed the book. I'm now halfway through. Okay. It's looking good. Also looking at possible traffic coming in from to the base leg here, or for final. So it's not only about getting your eyes fixed on the airport. Good control. It's so nice to see that I'm progressing, guys, step by step. I mean, I'm not only enjoying flying, but also enjoying learning how to fly. It's a double. Okay, 4 wides. Let's make our turn. Bakersfield traffic, Skyline, Papa Hotel Tango, and Mike is turning left base runway 34 for a full stop, Bakersfield. Looking at that heading bug, creeping on that base heading, should be descending, which we aren't. There we are, 80 knots, that's base, second notch. Again, looking to the right, no incoming on final, no straight ins. There's the runway. Still 4 wides, which is okay. I prefer being a little bit more high up than too low. With that second notch of flaps, I should be careful not to climb again. That happened to me a couple of times before. Not turning too early. Still, I don't descend. Well, let's make that turn. Bakersfield traffic, Skyline, Papa Hotel Tango, and Mike is turning final runway 34 full stop, Bakersfield. I think I'm going to overshoot that. 80, so pulling out the throttle. One red. What's the time? Sorry for the TrackIR confusion, guys. Yeah, okay, still have time. I didn't even have dinner yet. Yeah, so 2 rights, that's 2 reds, 2 whites, that's okay. Now I should pitch up a bit and allow that airspeed to bleed off. About 75 is okay. Again, mixture full set, prop set. Lights are on. Alright, too high. Middle marker. Light here. Didn't turn the audio on because I find those beacons very annoying. Still too high and going too fast. A little bit of forward slip. We made the field, full flaps. Allow that nose to come up a bit. Keep the airspeed there. Okay, eyes on the end of the runway. Pitching up, pitching up, pitching up. Throttle all the way back. Again bumpy. Sketching that runway surface. Then on track, flaps up. Well, let's leave the runway as quickly as possible. Aerodynamic braking I should have added or applied earlier. There we are. Keeping some speed in to get as quickly off that runway as possible. Bakersfield traffic, Skyline Papa Hotel Tango and Mike is clear runway 34 Bakersfield. Getting our seat behind the threshold line, not just the dashboard. There we are. Park and brake set, reset to 1000 to keep that engine running. Mixture to ground. Yeah, then landing lights off. Strobe lights are off. We can set our transponder back to on. Let's get some oxygen in. And we don't need any other, I guess that's about it. Let's do a quick check. Before taxi, strobe lights, throttle, flaps, transponder. Yeah, it's going great. No other traffic here. I mean, now it's confusing that then here on the right side that taxi sign is to the back. We see the backward, so I would say, well, we need to go to the other taxiway. But there, it's in the direction towards us. Perhaps that's just flight simulator confusion, and the real world is displayed in a proper order. I don't know. Good flight, Tim. Thanks, FS Production. Doing my best. Still, I find room to improve. But next up, what I'm going to do is pass my other flight test, because I think I'm ready to do my traffic pattern at night. And then I completed the traffic pattern flying bit of my flight training stages. In an uncontrolled airport, I will do traffic pattern flying in a controlled airport in Delta and Charlie airspace, hoping that there will be other traffic in the pattern, because that really adds to the complexity of doing traffic patterns. Let's go, let's exit here. .11 degrees, getting warmer, which makes sense because in local time Bakersfield is now warming up, because this morning hours, so the sun has because of sunrise. And that's also explaining why the visibility improved, I guess, during the flight. I mean, I set flight sim to daylight because I would like to fly in day here in the Netherlands. Otherwise I can only fly in local California time in the night. And that doesn't fit my schedule because I need to work the following day. Let's go to this parking spot here. Hey Elias. Yeah, please join me on John Wayne. But that would take some time. That's Charlie. And I first need to go to Delta airports. Well, let's go a little bit further. Our wheels are should be on that spot, so something like that. Again, park and brakes are set, reset to 1000. Transponder set to standby for our next flight. We do our magneto check quick. Whoop. Yeah, they are working. Avionics off. And then we can do the cutoff. Wait until the prop stops. Love that sound. Wiggle of the airplane, great. Engine start to off, engine switch to off, ignition switch to off, then generator off, batteries off. I should have reset the trim before landing. Didn't have any trouble with the touchdown, but I should have done that before I got into final. We can, and I should open the cowl flaps once I landed, which I didn't do. Also another check, but I haven't found any problems with that, is before you shut down you should look if the cylinder head temperature is stable. If it's really hot, then it's not really a good thing to now shut down the engine, because then the heating down of the cylinder, the cooling down of the cylinders can mechanically damage the cylinders on a well, mechanically, I don't know, the material itself by the cylinders. It's a bad thing. There's a term for that, technical term. I don't know what that was referring to, but and we didn't check that cylinder head temperature. But usually, if it's around 300 degrees here, then that's fine, and you can just shut the engine off. But still, I should have remembered to open the cowl flaps once we entered the once we landed. Fuel tanks. Well, we made that balancing the fuel tanks, which was a good thing. It worked. So let's set it to the left, default to the left. This is all set. We can open the door, release our seat belts, and we can now, let me just set my TrackIR to pause, go to the outside, well, not really the outside, but just here. Pitot tube cover on, wheel chocks on, and we can getting confused by these buttons. Yeah, TrackIR off, put on that control lock, control wheel lock. Now that should complete the flight. Let me check to make sure. Taxi we already did, park and brake. Yeah, avionics we did, magnetos, cabin here, fuel tank selector, baggage, yeah, wheel trucks, engine oil. Yeah, engine oil, which is interesting. We should change our engine oil. Is this an A2A model, the default, or something else? No, this is A2A. This is an A2A model. I've improved on the textures though. So I improved the interior textures and the exterior ones just to give it a more personal touch. So that's perhaps why you have a bit difficulty to recognize it. But this is A2A Simulations. It's great products. Yeah, engine oil. So something that will creep up on us is that we should change our engine oil after 50 hours of tachometer hours. Tachometer, they are shown here. We're now at 23. This is, I don't know what those are called, Hobbs hours. Yeah, so that's something different. Tach hours. So that's how many hours. I don't know how those are calculated. Well, per minute, I guess, just the RPM. Yeah. After 50 hours, we should change the engine fuel just to ensure that our engine keeps running smoothly. Or if we reach, or after 4 months of flying, whichever comes first. And I was just seeing it here on the checklist, and I thought, well, what are our tachometer numbers here? But we're halfway through. Yeah, that was the flight. I think that went pretty straightforward, basic, good. If that makes sense. Yeah, the thing that really got me annoyed was that I again forgot the flight control check at the run-up, which I should have remembered to do. Well, luckily the killed stamp that I put on my checklist reminded me, like, oh damn. But it's bad stuff. Even when I'm doing my engine start, I already was thinking about not forgetting the flight controls, and then in the run-up you just go through your own flow and you're just forgetting it again. So yeah, I guess you need an angry certified flight instructor who just punches you, because then you will remember the next time. But yeah, that's something that I something that I found annoying too were those thermals, turbulence. Although, yeah, that's just part of real-world weather, I guess. But I had that a couple of times, and it seems a bit unrealistic to me. Have you seen that angle of it? You know, I mean, we were pointing down with our nose, and even still then, full idle, we were keeping that airspeed constant, which is, wow, which was very extreme, I think. In real life, I change oil at 25. Yeah, I think in the A2A manual it says 50 for the Skylane. Lower RPM setting runs up hours slower. Yeah, exactly. But POA just say 50. Oh, yeah, right. When a PDF of the checklist I use for this aircraft in real life. Yeah, sure, FS production. But I've already Googled online to get my hands on any checklist that had to do with the Cessna Skyhawk or Skylane, and based on that made my own. But please share. Perhaps there are some items that what I'm mostly curious about, which I didn't solve yet, also mentioned that in the previous episode, is why is the flight control check that killed me not part of the pre-flight inspection? Why on most checklists it is mentioned only until the run-up? Because it's such a basic check. I would know of any mechanical failure on that front before I start my flight, so then I can go to the maintenance hangar and fix it. Why would you check only then, or check it twice during pre-flight and at the run-up? But I don't know why that is the case. So anyone, please let me know. Still, so the thermals and good flight control. I had trouble with the coordinated flight. I didn't do any normal coordinated flights. Perhaps that's something also to practice in future episodes, because I didn't spend much time just doing an ordinary coordinated flight turn. And I know that slow flight and that stuff is quite difficult. So, okay, there's some leverage there to mess things up, and that slip indicator was all over the place. But still, not really proud of that. I could be, that's something that I can improve. Landing was okay, a little bit too bumpy. So let's analyze that. That means that I was touching down with a too much high airspeed, because that allowed me to then, hover back again into the air and go down. So even though my approach speed should be 65, basing on that on the manual, I should, I guess, be flying 50, 55 at touchdown point, because then the airplane stalls onto the runway. Actually, you should hear the stall warning before you touch down. It's almost like the sound of trumpet saying, yeah, perfection, which I didn't hear in my landing, and that will prevent me to hover again up into the air, because then my airspeed would be too low. Yeah, so I guess that's the problem also with the previous episodes, that I'm just bumping on that runway initially on touchdown because I'm going too fast. So that I can improve. Also during the takeoff roll, I was a bit sloppy going on that center line from left to right. So first what I should do when I line up on that center line is get lined up before I give full throttle. And once I see that I'm rolling in a straight line, then give full throttle. Except for that, I did great. I was stable. I'm really feeling that I'm progressing here, so that's good. I'm also even sensing mental space to chat with ATC while I'm flying, which is also a good thing. I had the same question. My CFI said it's because between the pre-flight and the takeoff, something may change. Very unlikely, but the most ideal time to do the check is right before the aircraft takes off. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so in my book, in my universe, if I would publish checklists, I would do it at the pre-flight and at the takeoff roll, because indeed something could be mechanically damaging, or some damage could occur in between the pre-flight and the takeoff roll. So doing your flight control check at the run-up before you're doing your takeoff makes total sense, but it should be done even before you fly. So yeah, I think I don't know why other checklists don't mention that. That's why I removed it from checklist item 6 before I do my interior flight inspection. That's the box move. So it's my flight. Based on our reasoning, that is much more safe to do. So during the next flights, I will do my flight control checks before I do my interior pre-flight inspection. That's how simple it is. It isn't bad to do it twice at all. So that's something that I can do to improve my own routines, right? It's just it's our safety, and yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys noticed perhaps? Well, we've got some visibility problems. Again, I love the fact that those weather briefings that we do are resembled in a flight simulator. What's the time, by the way? Yeah. So if we saw that in terms of IFR, that GAirMet showed an IFR area here around the Bakersfield area. Thank you, Neat or Nietzsche, for following. Thank you so much. We saw an IFR or IMC AirMet depicted in around the Bakersfield area, or IMC you could say, and it was mostly referring to visibility. There was no problem in terms of cloud seeding, but visibility was a problem. And we already saw that on the also on the visibility forecast chart. To me, still, when I took off an hour ago, I was kind of surprised of how bad the visibility actually was. It was hazy, but 6 nautical miles of visibility. Yeah. I mean, this is where I get to my personal weather limits, I guess, or minimums, rather than just looking at marginal VFR and IMC rules or minimums, because 6 miles of visibility is already, well, getting tough, especially when you're using a PilotEdge. So yeah, that's I love the fact that experience is now getting developed here during my flight training, and I get a better sense of, in practical terms, what it means, a 6 mile visibility. Great shows, Tim. Keep up the work. We need to fly together on PA once you're more comfortable with the controllers. Yeah, obviously. Also, John Fly, I was watching his stream a few days ago. He also invited me to fly with the guys. And I will as soon as I get these basics right, because I don't feel comfortable yet to join you guys on those control airports. But that will be awesome. Then we're going to fly group flights or traffic pattern flying even on busy controlled airports. Yeah, I cannot wait. But step by step, and I already can feel the progress here. So just give me some time, and I will be in shape to join you guys. That's about it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again on my flight here on this Monday. I am expecting to fly tomorrow too. I just cannot stop flying. It's great. And I guess I will do my night time traffic pattern flight test here on Bakersfield. So then I've passed my traffic pattern flying stage on an uncontrolled airport. Take a look at my flight training at certifiedpilot.com. You can find my training there. You can see all the video containers and all the stages of training that I need to go through. So I'm just at the beginning, but progress is being made, which is something that I'm really pleased of. So I'm going to eat. I don't know how quick, in about 15 minutes or so, and then I'm going to do some squash with my best friend. So I'm looking forward to just get some hands-on. Well, this was also quite hands-on, really. Anyway, just to relax and wind off, I guess. And then tomorrow I will be back, and we will do some traffic pattern flying at night at Bakersfield. Guys, thank you so much. Hoping to see you next time tomorrow. Bye.
I'm passing through 500, 715. 715, 134, 125.